Hello champions and future champions. Hello Chessmood family. GM Gabuzyan is here with you and we're beginning with our daily lesson. Topic for today is creating weak square with the pawn. Now it's white to move. I'm not going to explain more details, but will offer you to pause the video and think, what would you play here as white? You can try to think about a concrete move and further idea as well. Let's take a look at the pawn structure for both sides. White has a nice pawns on e4 and c4, good control over d5 square, half open d file in the center. What about black? All of black pawns are also located nice in the center and black is controlling many squares. But we can feel that once we manage to remove this pawn from c6, suddenly d5 square is becoming very weak. Meanwhile, white has a d4 square as a potential outpost for black pieces. This d4 square is too far away and black is not getting good opportunities to put any of the pieces on this square. And when we play something like b4, b5, which is our main idea, and weaken d5 square, we will get a great outpost for the knight, which is having a perfect spot to take it. As you are already guessing, now white goes with b4. Bishop e7, and here again I will offer you to pause the video and think whether we play b5 right now or we postpone this decision. If we now play b5, we are allowing black the following maneuver. Black can go knight to c5. After we move our queen to somewhere, let's say to e3 square, black can be putting this knight on e6, and suddenly this knight gets access to d4 square. At some point, black will be able to take on f3 and go knight to d4. Of course, we are getting some benefits with this b4, b5, but we can do the same without allowing this knight to get to this e6 square. For this reason, after bishop e7, white goes a4, and after black's castling, again not going with b5, which allows this knight c5 move, but going bishop a3 with the preparation of b5 move. And why is it so important to have bishop on a3 before playing b5? You will see now. In the game, black went for bishop g6, and now we have this b5 move. The thing is that if black goes here knight c5, we can take, and after black takes back, we are already having knight takes e5 move. We spoiled black's pawn structure. On top of this pawn was hanging. That's the reason after b5, black is not having knight c5. If black takes, c takes b5, we're taking back. Square on d5 is very weakened now, there is no pawn on c6, and we're getting this nice outpost. After b5, if black tries to go something like c5, it's the same, we're getting very nice outpost for our knight. Meanwhile, we have 2 versus 1 at the edge of the board, black is having a very bad pawn on d6. After b5, black can try to play something like f5, getting a counterplay at the other side of the board, but it's still not dangerous. White has a very classy knight d2 move at this position, just ignoring this activity. The thing is now that after f takes e4 and knight d takes e4, we are still getting this weakened square on d5, since black has to make a reaction with this c6 pawn. For all of these reasons, b5 is leading to a nice advantage. In the game, black played rook e8, and the idea is interesting. Now if we take on c6, black goes knight b8, queen d5 and queen c7. Black is on time to take back this pawn, and we're also getting not a very strong pawn on c4. What it means? That to our favor will be to wait until black is taking on b5, so we can take back with the c pawn and get 2 strong passed pawns at the edge of the board, instead of getting a weakened pawn on c4. That is the reason. Now white goes rook fd1, increasing the pressure on d6 spot. If now black goes c5 in order to protect this pawn, we're getting knight d5 square, and after rook fd1, if black takes on b5, we just take back with the c pawn, getting 2 versus 1 here, terrible pawn on d6, and very nice d5 square for our knight. With this b4 and b5 idea, white is creating a weakness in the center and getting a very nice game. Also, let me add you that after bishop a3 in this position, if black tries to go a6 now and stop b5, this doesn't make sense. White is still on time to go for a b5 move. And after exchanging the pawns on b5, ab5, cb5 and cb5, we are still getting nice passed pawn and good control over this d5 square. So the beginning b4 and b5 idea is a very nice one in order to create a weakened square with our pawn. Let's go ahead to see our next position. Here it's white to move again and we have some Sicilian pawn structure. You can pause the video and think how are you going to do this for white. We can notice that black has a solid pawn chain in the center controlling a lot of squares. Also we can notice, once we manage to remove this pawn from e6, again d5 square is going to be very much weakened. For this reason, we're going to use our f pawn and white now plays f4. We are not worried of e5, it's a double attack on our knight and the queen, but it doesn't work. White has an intermediate knight d5 tempo, attacking the queen, since now if black takes, we can take on c7 with a check, after king d8 we can take on a8, and we're staying with a clear extra rook. That's why, after knight d5 here, black is not taking the queen, can try to go queen to b7, but now we go knight f5. We are covering our queen from the attack and as well running away with our knight, so getting these very strong knights in the center, good outpost, and spoiled black's pawn structure. This is a great advantage for white. That's why, after f4, black is not going e5, but tries to go rook to g8. And we'll keep going with our idea, with f5. Black now cannot ignore this, since the pawn on e6 is even hanging. Let's say if now black goes something like rook c8, we can take, pawn cannot take on e6 as there is a pin, and after knight e6, knight e6 and bishop e6, we also have queen e6 move. Again we are using this pin, so we are staying with an extra piece. This means that after f5, black has to react somehow. If black goes queen to c8, now we take on e6, and again we are using the fact black cannot take back with the pawn. So after bishop takes, we go knight f5. White managed to remove pawn from e6 and now weakened at the same time two squares, one on f5 and another one on d5, getting two nice outposts for our knights. That's the reason after f5, black is going e5, only to give away this d5 square, which is more than enough for white to have a great position. Now we go knight d5, and after queen b7, white can be making some kind of knight e2 or knight f3 moves and play with a very nice advantage due to the strong knight on d5. But there is even a better option. I will offer you to pause the video and try to find best continuation for white in this position. Again, using the fact that pawn on f7 is under a pin, we have knight e6 move now. We're threatening knight c7 check, which will be a checkmate, so this is winning the queen. And if here black takes with the bishop, as it happened in the game, after f takes e6, white has a decisive advantage. Knight e6 is not possible again, so we can take with the queen, and otherwise, after f takes e6, white is just winning. We have monster knight, very good rooks, active queen and the bishop. Black has a destroyed pawn structure, king in the center. For this reason, white is winning. Let's now go ahead to see next position, which will be your homework for this topic. Today, we learned that sometimes when we're seeing some vulnerable squares protected with only one pawn, and when this square can be a very nice outpost for one of our pieces, we can try to advance our pawn in order to weaken required square. This is your homework for the white side. You can share your thoughts and ideas how to play here in the comments section below. Gabuzyan was here with you. Thank you for your subscriptions, likes and sharing this video with your friends. We appreciate it a lot. See you next time during our next daily lessons.